There's just so many bands that aren't getting heard because they don't have the music that's suited to Triple J at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother story. Like, I could fucking give you an hour's worth
No,
on that.
let's go into that. What in your opinion is wrong with Triple J at the moment?
Look, in a nutshell, there's been times where I've spoken personally to people that are high up in the pecking order at Triple J, and there's been times where people representing us have spoken to, without naming names, the highest at Triple J.
Kingsmill.
And talking about our music and presenting it to them, to play. And this is not me, saying, oh, well, what a bunch of pricks, they won't play my music sort of thing. It's, I'm talking on behalf of so many other bands that are out there at the moment. And they've literally said, look, it sounds great, it's really good, but it's just not what we're playing at the moment.
It's fucked.
And, you're exactly right. It is completely fucked because, Triple J used to be the radio station that you listened to discover new bands and discover new music. And, there was a time when they actually used to play a whole range of music as opposed to just sticking to this fucking wanky, how many top button collars can you have done up?
4-piece skinny jeans.
Dressed like a flog. Fucking big music. And yeah, so, I think the problem is that, aside from the fact that none of them are actually getting outside of their little air-conditioned office to go out and see bands that are slugging it out on the main stage at whatever pub it is, the biggest problem is that they're not broadening their horizons to allow for a wider genre, a base of genres of music. So, all these bands that are at the top of their craft in their particular genre, they're not getting heard because Triple J is just so hell-bent on playing the same dried up shit that they're playing at the moment.
You know what annoys me is when they started this fucking Unearthed thing, and that's really just an out for them to just put the bands that they don't want to play on the actual radio. They play them on there and say, oh, well, at least we're playing you on something.
Oh, man, it seriously, it shits me to tears. Like, one of the other things that they do as well, and, there's other commercial radio stations that are being guilty for it as well, is saying, oh, we've got the newest rock song from fucking blah, blah, blah. And, Emmy Mac from Smoke and Mirrors, she summed it up when she said that, these certain bands, like, calling that band rock is akin to calling a half chub a raging flesh trumpet, Like, it's just not rock. Like, rock is from the groin, like, it's not supposed to be some political wank around. It's supposed to be fun music, so.
I've read a few articles online in the past, fortnight. There's people out there, I don't know whether they work at Triple J, but there's people out there that legitimately feel that rock is dead.
Oh, man. But it's, you can point it back to Triple J again. I mean, let's not lie, we as the general public and music fans haven't done ourselves a whole lot of favours over the last, let's say 10, 15 years. Like, we're not going out to as many gigs as we were before, and, things do cycle. You can't expect rock music, as great as it is, to stay at the top of the world, or, the top of the country for so long. You can't have it all, sort of thing. But, Triple J, for example, they won't play rock music, anything hard rock or anything sort of metal within a certain time frame. They might play it at 3 o'clock in the morning, but how many people are listening?
That's exactly fucking right, yeah.
And so without the support of those guys, then how do we go out and get our music heard? Like, people aren't coming to as many gigs anymore because music is so much more accessible online. So you can't say, hey, you have to come to this gig to hear this band because they're shit all over the internet. Like, it's so easy to come by.
Yeah. The issue is there's no fucking alternative anymore. Triple J used to be that alternative, but now there needs to be an alternative to Triple J.
Yeah, definitely. You're definitely right, man. And for now, what I'd be telling young bands is just make your live show so fucking ball tearing and blistering that no matter how many places you have your music available to listen to online, you want to be making sure that people that come to see your show, they are getting so much more by coming to see you than what they could be by just sitting at home. Because in that way, you'll get people that will go to their mates, hey man, like I saw this band, they are phenomenal. Like you can't just sit home and listen to them. You've got to see the whole package. Like it just listening doesn't do it justice. You know, like the show itself is what's going to make you freak out.
Yeah.
Whereas you get bands that, you know, like they might stand still on stage, they're just, you know, shoegazing wankers. They think that they're, you know, the music is what makes it sort of thing, and you know, people can just sit there and, you know, they can make up their own mind with how we sound. You know, that's all well and good if you just want to be heard, but you're not going to be seen. People aren't going to come back to your show if you don't do something interesting. You know, you want people to remember you. You want the alternative to be people going, hey, you have to come and see this band, as opposed to, hey, you have to listen to this band.
I like being able to go to a gig and not know what to expect. Because I hate bands that just stand there on a stage for fucking 90 minutes and do the same thing in every town they go to. For example, you go back to like Guns N' Roses days. You never fucking knew what Axl was going to do.
Yeah, exactly, man. And that's what will make people keep coming back. You know, like if there's a sense of recklessness and unpredictability, then people will come back because they want to see the next chapter.
Yeah, and then one last thing that bothers me about Triple J, and we can move on, is that they make it out like if you're not signed to a label, then you're hindered. You know what I mean? It's like it's a disability. Oh, you're unsigned. Who fucking cares? You don't have to be fucking signed by a label to make it, you know?
Well, see, this is the biggest problem with Triple J now, is that, you know, their biggest market back in the day were people who were in bands. You know, fellow musicians listening to Triple J to, you know, keep the scene together via that. And then now what's happened is, even though they are still taxpayer funded, so you and I, we are paying Triple J to keep operating, right? Regardless of whether we like it or not, we all pay taxes. But the problem is now they only have to play a certain amount of Australian music, unsigned Australian music, whereas the rest of it, they operate just like a commercial radio station where the labels say, okay, here's X amount of dollars to play this band, this song, this many times at this time frame. So, you know, it's the same as advertising. They make their money through the advertising, and now they're making their money through the labels as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, like there's certain bands that have been played on Triple J that, don't get me wrong, like I love them, but they don't need taxpayer funds. Well, they don't need like taxpayer funded radio support. You know, like they're already big enough. Like, why do we have to be shown them? You know, like the whole idea of Triple J when it started was to introduce new, in particular Australian music, regardless of what genre it is, to the Australian public.
I mean, look at bands like King of the North. They're independent, never been played on Triple J ever, I don't think. And they've fucking got their song on a BMW commercial now.
Exactly, man. And, you know, that there is proof that these things can still be done without the support of Triple J. You know, it's not all these bands that are going, oh, you know, I'm writing a song that's going to, you know, I'm making sure that I can get it on Triple J sort of thing. Like, okay, man, like if you guys want to take that easy option and sell your fucking soul, then you go for it and tell me in 5 years if you feel like you've made the right decision or not. Whereas you got bands like King of the North and so many others that are out there doing their own things, sticking true to what they do, wearing their heart on their sleeve, and they are still making waves, man. Like, you know, if you work hard enough and you are relentless and persistent in what you're doing, and you continue to do something right, then eventually you'll start to reap the benefits.